I chose a ridiculous job with no role models. Well, of course, many people in my life have been great role models for different parts of my job. And they have inspired me, they have challenged me, and they have supported me throughout my career. But when I started my career, nobody was doing anything like the kind of work I had passion for doing, nor the art I felt the need to create. So, therefore, I didn't have many mentors or anyone to seek consultation or advice from. And the internet was not the way it is now. There was no Instagram or Facebook, no AI. So people abroad doing similar things that I wanted to do were hard to find. So I just had to dive in, follow my gut, and find my own way. I found early on that what I was most passionate about and felt a great lack of was something that was considered impossible, and it challenged norms. I wanted to shine a light on the value and significance of inclusive art. I believed that nurturing this space and reaching broader audiences would lead to meaningful and creative growth within the arts. So I started experimenting, which meant I had to take risks. And of course that I could make mistakes. And I took risks, quite a few, and made mistakes. And sometimes I feared to be judged. So, what is my job? The short answer is that I am a theatre director, I'm a facilitator, a performer, and a sign language interpreter within the arts. I know that's not very short. But here comes the longer answer. I have managed to build my career on the core beliefs and passions of my life. Theatre, languages and people, inclusion and accessibility. I work from the motto that art should be accessible to everyone. I believe that inclusivity enriches the artistic experience. It doesn't just make arts more accessible, but it transforms them. And it opens up new creative possibilities for all. So guided by passion, I spent over 2 decades developing inclusive methods that bring deaf and hearing communities together on stage and in the auditorium. Many of my projects involve sign language interpreting performances, as well as making theater productions that combine artists of 2 worlds, the sign language world and the hearing world, and are simultaneously accessible for both hearing and deaf audiences. In my interpreting company's work, as you see some pictures from here, it's very important to have a close cooperation with all the artists involved in order to make the sign language interpretation a part of that show's world, but not as additional subtitles in the corner. We always seek consultation from sign language people, and if possible, we involve deaf performers to the interpreting team. So my professional life spans multiple and diverse projects, making my career a little bit like being in a polyamorous relationship with too many lovers, some might say. But to me, I'm one of the lucky ones. A variety of things interest me, and my work is a reflection of that and a combination of many of those things that matter to me. So my love story with the sign language started 27 years ago, but I've actively been working with the language within the arts for nearly 22 years now. And it has opened doors that I didn't even know existed, and it's given me an artistic perspective I could never have gained elsewhere. Over the past 16 years since completing my theatre degree, I've had the privilege of working with a wide range of diverse groups across various projects. Whether I'm directing, interpreting, making community theatre, teaching, all of these experiences have been a profound source of inspiration. And it has also taught me how to be a good problem solver, people reader, and to have a huge interest and deep respect for different communities and cultures. These are values that I cherish and I try my best to use consciously in my work. But challenges are inevitable. They have all formed me, although in the first 15 years of my career, they were much, much bigger than they are now. But they have also, first and foremost, made me more confident and even more determined in doing what I do. As an interpreter, I've been told that I can't choose my projects, that having an agenda for a specification like I have was simply just putting myself on a pedestal. As an artist, I felt that working with marginalized people of our community wasn't perceived as real art. For years, I witnessed how artistic work involving marginalized groups of our community was constantly undervalued by institutions and those in charge of funding, often on the account of participants not having a degree in arts, although in reality, they had not had any access to education in the field. This kind of work was even perceived or considered as charity, but not as meaningful artistic work and forms of artistic expressions, or even great opportunities for other artists. And the theaters wouldn't use any of their budget for their shows to be interpreted. So I brought the money. For 18 years, I spent countless hours applying for funding so I could deliver what I wanted to stand for. Well, that still didn't solve everything, although financing has always been a challenge. The society's prejudice and resistance to change was sometimes unbearable, as well as some privileged artists' fear of losing the spotlight when other people were given space, or directors thinking that the interpreting would ruin their show and the experience for the hearing audience. Like that one-off show of the whole run that would have been interpreted would ruin the privilege of the privileged. I have been pushed on stage in the middle of a show. I've been told by performers that their visibility is a priority, not the sign languages, overlooking the fact that sign languages are visual languages and a key part of including the deaf audience in the storytelling. We have been given the worst slots for interpreted shows. Those days that nobody goes to the theater anyway. There's Eurovision or, I don't know, something everybody stays at home for, because it was considered second class. Until only a few years ago, I felt that my work was a pain in the ass for the theaters, that I was being too demanding, and we were the last in line. But that line never got to the end. With all those challenges, I probably would have stopped and found a different job if I hadn't been driven by passion. It gave me the strength to tell myself, I am not here to tick boxes or to accept second-class seats for my art, my audiences, and my co-workers. And I definitely in my other job would not be doing TED Talks, I think. I just found that out right now. All right, so our work needs to be taken seriously, not for my sake, but for the sake of the communities that we work with and for. Because their participation in the arts, both as artists and engaged audiences, brings vital perspectives and will enrich our community as a whole. And in comparison to all the wonderful receptions our projects received, both from deaf and hearing audiences, the obstacles were peanuts. I learned not to let them bother me. They came with the job. The important matter was the change and the impact. And thankfully, many of these challenges are not the case anymore. Although we'll always have some business classers fear for their priority seats when somebody they're used to ignoring gets seen. In my over 20 years of work, I feel a great change has been made in the way that people look at accessibility. Minds have opened and attitudes have changed with time, thanks to relentless dedication and passionate fights of many individuals and groups. And that has without a doubt made my job much easier and more pleasant. Artists are now eager to make their work accessible and meet the practical and artistic needs of our work with warmth and excitement. And the theaters have woken up and have started paying for our job and our work with them. In the midst of the biggest financial challenges there have been in professional theaters in Iceland, proving that if there is a will, there is a way. And I'm thankful for the will and for the amazing people that have been a part of clearing the way that should have been a default in the first place. But although some doors are starting to open, there's still a lot of work to do to unlock others. Because people forget easily when things get comfortable, when they tick the box. So these days I choose my projects carefully. I make demands for professional standards, and if they cannot be met, I step away. It's not comfortable to stand your ground, make demands, and say no to exciting projects if the standards cannot be met that you want to deliver. But I'm not here, or I did not aim to feel comfortable. And I did not aim for fame or recognition. But don't get me wrong. Being known for your work in theater is inevitably necessary to move forward, but it cannot be the main focus. That would shift the real purpose, the attention away from the real purpose, making meaningful creative experiences. So, that said, I chose my job because I enjoy it. It makes me happy, it gives me purpose, and it enriches me, and is a step toward my dream of making the world a better place. But there's definitely not only one way to do it. I found my way, and I'm constantly reviewing it and developing it. But I surely appreciate and celebrate other ways done with care and integrity. Because changing the world to a more inclusive and compassionate place is on all of us. And such work needs to spring from passion. Ambition is surely valuable, but I believe that grows from being passionate and true to your work. And that's how you grow your wings. And speaking of wings, no one is free until we are all free, and we are all responsible. Thank you.